Yeah. Give us the life story in a package.
Yeah.
It was like, it's also very funny. It's like, it reminds me, it's like, what's your testimony? That also is like, that's what it
Exactly.
reminds me of. But hi, I'm Kevin Miguel Garcia. My pronouns are they, them. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I am an author, writer, spirituality coach, meditator, devotee of Jesus. Wouldn't call myself a Christian per se, mostly because a lot of people wouldn't call me a Christian. And so I just let them have it. I'm like, okay, I don't have to be Christian. If you don't want me to be that, doesn't really matter to me. I'm a dog mom. I'm a home cook. I am single. I love going to dance parties in the summertime, and I have a dream of owning a big plot of land with a bunch of tiny homes on them that me and my friends live on, where we grow our own food and our own weed, and we brew our own beer and distill our own whiskey, and we just vibe out. That's the dream for me. So that's a little bit about me. Where I came from, evangelical upbringing. In college, I fell into a Pentecostal cult, and then I joined a different cult and became a missionary. And I did that for a little while. And when I came out, I was invited to no longer be a part of the missionary organization / cult. And then I ended up in Atlanta, where I've scraped together a life for myself in the most beautiful way. I graduated from Columbia Theological Seminary in 2020 with a Master's of Arts in Practical Theology and published my first book, Bad Theology Kills. And then I just recently published my second book, which is called What Makes You Bloom, Cultivating a Practice for Connecting with Your Divine Self, available now. And it also just came out on audiobook, and I read it and I love it. I'm very happy. So if you like the sound of my voice, imagine 8 hours of me just talking at you about all this kind of stuff.
I love it when the author actually reads the book.
It's very,
brings so
it's
much
very
more
much a
life
thing
to
for
it.
me. Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah. How you mentioned religious cult, so I want to start there.
Sure.
How does one person know, or what was it for you where you walked away and you're like, oh, that's a cult?
I didn't realize it till recently, if I'm being honest. It was actually because I got really interested in like, what makes a cult? How do people fall into cults? How do, like, I think a lot of us who have religious trauma, while a lot of our churches are not technically cults by like the classic markers of what makes a cult, which is like the control of not just your thoughts, but the people you hang out with, your money, your social belonging, your well-being. If they control every aspect of your life and you can't get out, that's a high control cult. But a lot of like high control religions that we come from exhibit very similar behaviors. Things around tithing, things around like the people you hang out with being holy or unholy. And so the reason I saw it, I look back on it now and I would name that church as a cult, is because I was such like a high level person. Like I was very well loved by the church, and because of that, like there was a lot of social capital, and a lot of social belonging that was like held over me, because it was also like the threat of hell. They definitely were controlling how I thought, because anytime I would present an idea that I learned from a different perspective, they would just shoot it down, because it's just like, sounds like the devil. Sounds like you're not believing enough. Also, like I was working 3 jobs and they still expected me to tithe while I was a full-time college student, and I did. It was wild. It was truly a wild time. And then like, and it was because I was so desperate to belong, and like these people, like now I was like, oh, I belonged, and they loved me so much. I'm just like, they love bombed me. They love bombed the shit out of me and made me feel very special and important, and said, God has a destiny for you. And that destiny happens to be closely connected to this community. Did you know? That's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was it was like, you got to believe the right way, act the right way, otherwise you don't belong. And that, and like, it's very interesting. It's like, I was so much more disposable than I thought. to these people. And that's what I think is like the most heartbreaking part, is realizing, oh, it is conditional love that they work with and practice. Fascinating.
Yeah, super fascinating. I can
In the
definitely
worst
attest to
way.
that.
In the worst way.
Yeah. Yeah, never good. When you end up walking away from a community and you're like, oh, there was another person just like behind me in line to take my spot as servant number one.
Yeah. And then it's also
Yeah.
funny to realize that the person who filled in the gaps behind you comes out a couple years later and says, hey, me too. I was like, knew it.
Yeah.
Knew it. We flocked together.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what where I was going. What the question I had was next. Don't you just hate when that happens?
Yeah. It'll come back to you.
I want to talk about a little bit of like one's truth compared to, quote, like the truth in which these organizations thrive around and controlling your narrative, compared to you discovering who you are and what that is. So what are your thoughts around that concept of, oh, it's my truth, but then so-and-so is saying, no, that the truth is this.
Well, I don't.
It's very dual.
It's like truth is no longer an interesting concept to me, as far as absolute truth is concerned. Like for me, as far as like the way that I live my life, the way that I form my daily practice and spiritual life, I'm not looking for what is true. I'm looking for what is helpful. And for me, what helpful means is like, is this idea, is this thought about God or anything else, this thought about this other person, is this getting me closer to God or not? Said another way, is this getting me closer to love or not? Said another way, is this helping me feel better so that I can live out my dharma and purpose on this earth or not? And if the answer is no, why am I holding it in my attention? Especially if it's just like a thought that comes to me. Because I define a belief the same way that Abraham Hicks does, which is a belief is a thought you keep having over and over and over again. And so like, and so much so, and I would take it a step further to say, you hold it in your attention so intensely that it becomes your entire world. And so if the thought is, I'm a dirty, dirty sinner going to hell unless I live my life in this particular way for white Jesus, and it becomes your truth. It becomes a thing that like literally just like the lens through which you see the entire world. And then until something debunks it, something disturbs that thing, which causes us to have an epistemological rupture, which is like a fancy way of saying we start deconstructing.
Yeah.
But I like epistemological rupture. It sounds sexier.
It does.
But yeah, like truth is such like a tricky term because like it's relative. It's going to be relative for everybody, and so I have to recognize, like me sitting here is like, no, I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. I'm like, that doesn't like trying to convince somebody of your rightness is not going to make you happy or get you closer to God or get you even salvation. You must recognize that you are already loved, you already belong, and from that place, you just talk about your experience, and other people don't need to validate it, and other people cannot invalidate it either. So, you know, if you're a queer Christian or if you're a deconstructing or wherever you're landing, like if people don't believe you, like that sucks. That really does suck. And
yeah.
So like this is me. I've been doing this on the far side. I'm of the camp. I'm now in the place of just like, I don't need you to believe me. And by that I mean I don't need you to hold the same thoughts that I do about the world in order for me to be happy. You don't have to change. You can think about whatever, you can think however. You just can't hurt me or my people. The moment you do that, then we have to talk. I don't care what you think, I care about what you do. But the problem is, as Jesus says, if you've done something, like, you know, if you did it in your mind, bitch, you might as well have already done it, because thoughts will always precede action. He's like going after like how you think about other people matters. If you don't see them as your sibling, you can dehumanize them. You can drop bombs on them. You can kill them while they're trying to get flour. I'm talking about Palestine right now, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that to say, don't look for what's true. Look for what's helpful. And also, when you're telling your story, let it be that. Let it be your story and love it, because it is good and it is special and it is necessary probably for your healing and someone else's healing for you to share it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I was reminded of the Rob Bell's book, Where'd You Park Your Spaceship? There's this short story in there where the teacher has these boys and they have them lie down on the earth, and he's like, feel the gravity that you're feeling, and then look up in the sky. And now think about if you were on the opposite side of this planet and you're laying down, look up in the sky. Which up is the true up? And so truth is just relative. It's as you were saying, it might not be true for the next person, but it's true to you. And so as long as you keep hold on to that truth, then that's but you also have to hold on to the fact that not only are you on this opposite side of the planet as this other person, but you're also just on the same planet as them. Like, you can't forget that as well. And so you got to continue to love your own story and your truth, but you have to acknowledge that someone else will also have that same truth. And we're all on this planet together trying to move forward. And so when we lose sight of that, that's like, to your point, that's when we start bombing, when we start airstrikes on people trying to find food. That's when our neighbor is being beaten up in the bathroom and going to the hospital. That is when the bullies are just uprising. That's when all these harsh movements are happening. It's because they just want to continue to fight for their own truth. Forget that the person next to them also has one.
Yes, because in the mind of the fearful person, there is a norm. There is something that is considered normal and acceptable in society, and they are afraid that they are going to lose that. And like it's one of those things where it's like, I understand. I don't like it. I just understand how it got here. And I think that little bit of understanding is the thing that like allows me to not lose my mind.
Yeah. And then you mentioned, well, even just all of this put together, finding something that is helpful to bring you closer to God in each kind of moment by moment. Is this helpful? I think there's often times for people that are still within the religious system, and they look at someone like you or like me that wants to deconstruct a little bit and walk away from the norms of that they have built. And then they hear you say, I'm finding whatever is helpful for me to get closer to God. And then they're like, Kevin, are you just choosing the easy way out? Are you just going, like, that's just so much easier for you to say, I'm just going to find whatever is helpful, rather than you continue, in your own words, say and worship white Jesus. So what do you say to someone that's like, whatever is easier? Because it's not.
Yes and no. It's, like, on the one hand, this spiritual path is easier because it does not demand that I be anything but myself. The only, like, the requirement is that I learn how to love, and I learn how to be love. That's the requirement. And that requires me to, let go of ego. And like, sometimes, like, it's learning how to deal with my suffering and, deal it with like not having my desire fulfilled, etc. But I think the harder thing for me is when I was part of a demanding religion and demanding spiritual practice that said that your desires themselves are an abomination. Like, it really, like, made me feel terrible, because there was no way to be holy enough. There was no way to be good enough, even at my best. Even if I was like straight A sinless, like, it's, everything I have is but filthy rags before you, and I have to make myself debased. A line from A Course in Miracles says, that you have mistaken humility with self-debasement and called it holiness. Like, you debase yourself and you think that that's going to get you closer to God. That's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so I think, at least for me now, like being sweet and kind to myself, loving myself unconditionally is just as hard as talking shit to myself and treating myself poorly. Like, that's the thing. Like, it was so hard to do it. I'm just like, what you're doing right now is already a very harsh thing, a very hard thing to do. And I'm just like, it's just programming and a traumatized body. And so, like, it's like, well, I've been doing this work for so many years. It's like, you're going to be unraveling from this trauma for the rest of your life sometimes. And in the meantime, can you find love? Can you find peace? That's really, at least for me, what I'm after. And so, is it the easy way out? Maybe. I will say, like, I am happier, but it's like, but like, I will say, like, I lost a lot. At first, it felt like the harder path, but then I realized I'm just like, the only thing I'm giving up is what I do not want. I'm giving up I'm giving up a lot of suffering.
Yeah.
And granted, I've got to find new ways to cultivate joy outside of a normative system. I have to find new avenues, creative ways to connect with source and God and self. But now, like, God has no boundaries, and neither do I. Like, God is not bound up by saying it has to look a certain way or be a part of a certain community in order to experience it. You know, the thing they told us all the time, the church is not a building, the church is people. I'm just like, therefore, the whole of humanity is the church then. Everything is included in God's family, at least from where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that, like, I don't care. This is what I think. This is, like, helpful for me. Because when I believe that, when I hold that thought in the center of my belief that the whole of creation is the family of God, I'm more likely to love it. And I do.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, what do you want? This is making me a more loving person. This is making me more like Jesus. Do you want me to do that or nah? And if you don't, like, honestly, fuck off. It's none of your goddamn business. This is a fucking free country, bitch. Sorry, sometimes when I get really, really mad at people and, like, they want to, like, talk to me, it's like, do you believe in freedom of religion or not? Or nah? Because if you really do believe in freedom of religion, leave me alone. Let me do what I do. Let me worship God in my way, and I'm going to let you worship in yours. Okur?
Yeah.
That, like, it's so weird. I'm just like, why am I, like, such a constitutionalist all of a sudden?
Yeah, it's hard to keep up. It's really hard to keep up because you're like, if you just even look at the basics of Jesus, he's like, love your neighbor. It's like, okay, well, I'm doing that. Oh no, you're a false prophet. You're a false prophet because you're, like, spewing love everywhere.
Yeah. There were some people in New York City who were getting fined for feeding or giving food to people on the streets who were houseless. And they won in court, saying that it wasn't illegal for them to pass out food. This was like, I'm passing out food to my friends. And that's what they wanted on the basis of. It's like, these aren't just, like, random people. We're not, like, doing a project. Like, these are just people that we know. And it was like, ding dong.
Yeah, my friend, he's a attorney down in Texas, doing the same thing. He's defending people. They're right. Hey, they're just handing out food to the homeless on the street, but yet you're going to keep ticketing these people over and over and over and over again. It's like, why? Isn't there better things to do in this world than ticket people that are just trying to feed the next person? Like,
bizarre. Of course not. Yeah. Because the state wants to criminalize poverty. Because if you can criminalize poverty, you can put people into work camps and bring back basically slavery. Slavery is still, did you know slavery is still legal in the U.S. if you are somebody who is locked up?
Yeah.
They can work you for little and or no money.
Crazy.
I'm like, girl, we are a step away from corporation towns coming back. Yeah. Jesus. Anyways, sorry to get, like, sorry to fall into the deep end of despair.
It's easy. and it's all wrapped together. And I think that's where people misconstrue that. They're like, I just want politics and religion separate. But but the way the system is built today is it's so ingrained in both. There's so much overlap, and we just don't even see it until you start to pick away at it. You're like, oh, this is connected to this, and this came from this.
Well, that's because like Western rationality has taught us that we are beings which can compartmentalize, and like common nicety says like, this is my love life, this is my sex life, this is my religious life, this is my family life, this is my work life. You have one life. This is my political life, these are my political beliefs and ideologies, and these are my religious beliefs. And like, no, everything is everything. That's what Lauryn Hill told us, baby. And then Richard Rohr said, everything belongs. We are one person, and every single, like, whether you like it or not. Like, if you're someone who says, I don't like politics, you're white. You have white privilege, and like you have some proximity to a lot of privilege. I don't like to do politics. If your spirituality doesn't involve politics, it means that you really, like, you don't care how society is run. People, like, the reason that like Roe v. Wade got overturned is because you're I don't like to be political. The reason that fucking the libs of TikTok chick Haya Raychek is in charge of the libraries in Oklahoma or whatever her thing is because we were not paying, is because we didn't care about politics. You know, 2016 when Trump got elected the first time is because we didn't care about politics enough. And it's like, and like, granted, I'm not saying that the Democrats are the way out either, because I think they're full of shit, and I'm personally voted uncommitted in the primaries. But it's just like, you don't have to care. But then like, I don't have to care about you. Like either. Like I it just speaks to your privilege if you don't care. So work, go do what you got to do. But as for me and my people, we are out here working to survive. We're working for liberation here. Ooh, I got hyped up on that.
You did. You're on a roll. So like, I'm going to see where this is going. I'm leaning in. What's Kevin got to say?
Jesus.
Can you? Can we dive into a little bit about your story? And I know you're probably tired of just talking about Kevin. Any part. What part does Kevin want to share today? Who is Kevin today related to your story?
Well, who I am today is honestly somebody who is struggling like so much with depression I can't even fucking handle it. Like I sleep during the day and then insomnia visits me at night. I feel bogged down, frankly, and it's one of these things where like I'm keeping my practice, and I am in the middle of Lent, and I am a weirdie who keeps my practices during Lent. And I tell you what, I am feeling that desert kind of liminal space of like, ugh. It feels like nothing's working, even though I am somebody who like, I love love and I love joy and I love tapping into those things. And at the same time, I am suffering. I am so fed up with everything. I'm on the edge of burnout, and I am trying to figure out what I'm going to do to take care of myself. And so like, I have like my care plan in place. I'm talking to my psychiatrist about upping my meds. I'm talking to, somebody about possibility of moving in and becoming a roommate, save me some money. And at the same time, I would say like the thing that's keeping me grounded the most is this daily practice, this reminder every day that there's great love here for me. And just because something doesn't work out the way that I believe it should does not mean I'm a bad person. Like in my meditation yesterday, the thing I kept hearing is it's okay for things to feel bad right now. It's okay for you to feel really, really fucking sad, because you are. You're depressed for whatever reason. And so yesterday was just my big flop day. I didn't have anything on my calendar, and I just spent most of the day just trying to cry and feeling bad and trying to take care of that part of myself, because, sometimes you hit rock bottom. Sometimes, like, you're in the valley. And that's where I am right now. And something I think that my teacher reminded me of early on last year, around the same time actually, is this is the life. Sometimes you're going to feel really fucking good. Sometimes your spiritual practice is going to keep you going. Sometimes you've got the money, you've got the job, you've got the lover, you've got everything. And sometimes you're Job. And even though you did everything right, you end up with nothing. And it begs the question, who are you without all these things that you think you should have? Who are you without the identity? Who are you without the fame? Who are you without money? You still good? You still lovely? Still gonna be sweet to you? Are you still, a God's child? It's really as simple as that. And so, like, when I try to go back to that place, it's simple. And at the same time, as I'm complaining about all these things this morning, I had another podcast conversation with this incredible queer professor and practitioner from Garrett Theological, and I just felt like somebody just like put the paddles on me and shocked me a little bit back to life, because today is actually like the first day in a long time that I've started to feel better. And it's slow. Like, I have to remind myself, like, it's always going to be slow work. And it's fucking okay that it's fucking okay to feel sad. I have to remind myself of that. And it's okay to feel shame about it's okay to feel anything. Feel whatever it is you got to feel, and then what do you want to do after that? At least, so that's where I am today. And it has everything, like, I've been pulling apart this idea of, like, what if I have to get a regular job again? What if I have to be, what if I have to get, like, what if? So your life changes. Okay. God has changed. And then in that, when I remember that, it almost just, I kind of start to laugh. I laugh. And that's when I know that I'm starting to get back to feeling better. Like, God has changed, dummy. Like, this. And when I can remember, I was like, yeah, I know. What am I going to do to have fun in the meantime, I guess? And then also try to help in the meantime where I can. Ugh. That's where I am. Just a little bit of a mess, but, stable, taking my meds, keeping my practices. Not, if you would have talked to me yesterday, I would have told you, like, everything's over and the world is burning and I hate everything. Today, the flowers on the trees are blooming right now. It's quite beautiful. So, but yeah, that's where I am right now. Somebody who, like, wrote a whole book on, like, finding God and, like, feeling like I have no connection to God.
Yeah. Yeah, it just goes to show when you're someone that has somewhat of a personality online, or have written down your thoughts and your life into books, and you've dedicated so much of yourself to other people, and you got to put on this, like, brand when you approach
it's so silly and annoying.
And you got to be consistent, and you got to keep doing these things to hold up the appearance. And it's just like, no, that's not always the case. It's like, I'm not always fiery. I'm not always happy. I'm not always inspiring. Like as you said, you're in the valley.
Yeah. I'm also a Rob Bell. You listen to the podcast?
I do, yes.
He talked about the void recently.
Mm-hmm.
When I tell you, I was like, I can't, like, that was another, like, spark of, like, another spark that was getting me back to life recently, is, like, that one came up and I was like, that's what I'm feeling. He's like, it's the recognition, it's the coming up against futility once again.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's, and then, hopefully, it's always like, life on life's terms. That's what our friends in recovery say. And that is comforting to me.
Yeah. And that just goes back to people's truth, right? Like,
Say more.
it's not when you're looking at people and you're like, hey, this isn't Kevin isn't always super excited, super happy and energetic and fiery, but he's in the lows. And so when you look at his life or their life, or you look at my life, or you look at somebody else's life, and it's just like, yo, they're not always at their best. There are these valleys and there are these lows. And so you have to understand, you can't just judge a book by its cover and think, oh, this is what they believe today, and they're always going to believe this, and they're unwavering. Unwavering. It's like,
I
no,
will
like
say
sometimes
that's like that is the thing about having like any sort of like media presence, and or if you write a book or something,
mm-hmm.
because you get a front row seat to your own evolution. You
Yeah.
really get to like when I wrote my first book, like I look back on some of it and I stand by like 99% of it. Like there's just a part of it I'm just like, where I think I was still not saying other people had to be committed to church, but I was still very committed to being some form of a Christian. And now I'm just not. And also like kind of like convinced that church communities were still like I won't it's like I haven't found a church community that feels like a space for me. And I'm just so curious as to what like post church spaces look like. But learning you can change and learning you were wrong are two of the greatest things that can happen to you when you're like working with your faith. And like realize like that's why I like, you know, like I don't know, like when people say, what do you believe? I'm just like, I don't believe anything. I have a lot of thoughts. I think a lot of things.
Yeah.
But like a belief is again just a thought that you hold and you keep thinking like so and just that like people really like don't know what to do with that. I'm just like, I don't claim any doctrine or dogma. I don't know. I just find what's helpful, and they get really pissed about that. It's like,
Because they want something to throw pain at. You know, they want to push up against something, your base, but you're like, I don't have a base, and then they get upset because they don't know how to deal with that because they're supposed to convert you from something to whatever they believe.
Yeah, but like God has changed. God is. Octavia Butler wrote in Earthseed, she's like, do not make any images of God except for what has been provided. And then she says, look at the trees, look at the river, you know, larva to bee to swarm, human to family, family to community, community to civilization, civilization to disruption, disruption to death. You know, it's like God is change from many, one, many. It's and like that to me, I'm just like, God is the process of change itself. It is the act of life. It is, and then, you know, we say like, you know, like we're conscious beings. I'm just like, I think it's all conscious, but just it's conscious in different ways. And so I personally love the fact that I get to be a part of that consciousness. That to me is much more appealing than trying to like figure out whether my doctrine or dogma is correct and if it's going to get me saved. Like if I'm saved from anything, I'm saved from a very dull life now. And this to me is way more interesting than what we were talking about on Sunday morning, you know?
Yeah. That's good. I just want to give that a little space to set in.
And then frankly, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this. I couldn't tell you what I just said.
Oh. Yes. I feel it. I understand that.
It's just where
honestly,
truly, this is where my brain lives all the time. And so like these are just like regular thoughts for me.
Yeah, I think that's good. It's organic. It's not a show. I tell people that it's unscripted. I don't actually really know where the conversation's going. I have an idea of where the playground I want to be on, but man, there's a whole park. There's a whole park I gotta go through to see what is something you would go back. And I know we were just talking about how you wrote down in your first book, and there's some things where you might your faith has evolved, your view on life has evolved since then. But even looking back, all the way back throughout your story, what is something you would go back and say to younger Kevin, whether it's advice or just, hey, this is going to happen to you?
I just like, be gay. Just come out. Be gay in high school. Wear the dress. Wear the lipstick. Grow your hair out. Go to the dance class. Go study theater. Go study jazz. I really think about, like, there was a point where my life really did take a path, like, towards, like, religious fundamentalism. And it's sophomore year of high school when I started ex-gay therapy. Like, that was the time that, like, basically it's just like, you have a calling on your life as a gay person to, like, be a better person than everybody else. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, my burden was so much bigger. And so therefore God was going to get even more glory. And so, like, my life was no longer mine, got baptized at age 9. And I think back to, like, what if I just came out? What if I said, fuck this, y'all are crazy, I'm coming out, and you don't have to. And, like, I didn't even want to come out. Y'all outed me. Y'all dug it out of me. So if I could go back to younger Kevin, I would just say, like, girl, like, I think about, like, I could be a really, really good drag queen by now. You know what I'm saying? I could have been in the business for 12 years. And now, at 34, I'm still figuring out how to, like, cover up my brows. But that's what I would say to younger self. Go be gay. Be happy. Go to prom with Scott. Ugh. So many things. But that's the main thing. It's just like, go be yourself, you idiot. You sweet, sweet little dummy. I'm just like younger, like, I can see younger Kevin. I can see him so clearly. I'm just like, you just were such a gooby. You just wanted to be liked, and you were a little weirdo. And you didn't know, like, and that nobody. I just like my younger self so much. I used to be really ashamed of him, and now I'm just like, because he's still me, Yeah. But yeah, I think that would have just, like, changed my life. I think I would have always been spiritual. I think I would have learned all the same lessons, but I would have learned them all without having to suffer. I would have learned them through joy. And I think that, like, that's the thing. Rumi has this poem where he says, Muhammad says, I come at dawn to chain you and drag you away. It is funny that people should be dragged away from their suffering into this beautiful spring, but that is the way of things. And then it says there's 2 types of people on the path, those who come willingly and those who come because there is no other option. And it basically says, just like, that's like kind of the spiritual life, is like everyone's coming to that moment of, like, oneness with life itself. And you can either come to it kicking and screaming, or you can come to it willingly, full of love. Ugh. It's one of my favorite poems.
It's really good. It's beautiful.
So yeah, right now, kicking and screaming. That's me.
Kicking and screaming.
I'm being chained. I'm chained and being dragged. But that's me. I'm a brat, I am a brat. I know this about myself.
It's good that you're aware of it, because then you're like, oh, that just puts everything else into perspective. Because then you can have those moments where you're like, oh, I can see myself getting better.
And I can also see myself when I'm being a total bitch. Like, I can see when I'm pitching a fit. I'm like, ooh, I don't want to do it. I'm just like, and God's like, well, then don't do it. Yeah, so I am, I think that's the thing about love, at least from where I'm sitting, is that no matter how much of an attitude I cop, it's like, love is not so concerned. Love is still dragging me along. Like, love is getting me there. And I think that's grace. Love is still waking me up every day. Breath is still coming in and out. So, but yeah, that's where I sit.
Love is meeting you wherever you are. And so
that's the rumor.
That should be our calling, to meet other people where they are too. Because if we embody love,
I mean, the thing is, like, if you can, the reason people can't be compassionate towards others who are suffering is because we are not compassionate towards ourselves for our own suffering. It's like when you get like upset when another person's like complaining about something, and it's like, well, you're not fucking getting bombed right now, and you're not homeless. It's like we suffer in one way or another. Suffering is suffering. Just like if you can't, as it says, weep with those who weep, even if it's for something stupid, maybe. But just like, I don't know, comparison during suffering, very foolish. Nobody wins.
Yeah. It's good. And then lastly, what's one thing you want people to know about Kevin?
I want you
context?
to know. Something I want you to know about me. Just one. I'm feeling very deeply unserious right now, and so I think the one thing I want you to know is that, like, I don't want you to know anything about me. I don't know. Like, I'm just like I don't have anything. I wish I had something profound to say, or just like, I am somebody deeply special, and also I'm no more special than anybody else. Like, I'm not a guru. I think I'm a pretty good teacher, but I'm not like, I'm nobody's savior. I do not have all the answers. I'm just seeking, I guess, like everybody else. And that takes a lot of pressure off of it. Yeah. Also, I could be wrong. I could be wrong about everything. I don't think I'm wrong, but it could be. And that to me is also quite comforting. But I'm not afraid to be wrong. That's the other part. If you're not afraid to be wrong, then like you will always be correct. And that's wild. That's wild. Yeah, don't ever never be afraid of correction. Yeah. It's very, I don't know. Yeah. If you let me keep talking, I will go off in a different direction. That's the thing. Don't let me do it.
All right. I won't let you do it. Well, thank you, Kevin, for coming on. Where can people find you?
You can find me across the internet at the Kevin Garcia. That's my handle. The @THE Kevin Garcia. My website is thekevingarcia.com. You can get both of my books there. My new book is called What Makes You Bloom? Cultivating a Practice for Connecting with Your Divine Self. It's available everywhere, including on audiobooks. So if you're an Audible girly, go out there and get me in your ears. She's cute sounding. Also, they owe me money. I just remembered that they owe me money. I need to call somebody about that. They owe me 1,000 doll hairs.
Oh, man. That's not a little bit of money. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. I've truly enjoyed hanging out with you. Thank you for being flexible with the rescheduling. And I look forward to connecting more with you in the future. This is lovely.